Hi, this is Mike from thesubstream.com, and this is Ryo from thesubstream.com, and this weekend we got to see, what did we see? We saw Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakuel, the follow-up to 2007's Alvin and the Chipmunks. It was directed by Betty Thomas, who's an experienced director, and it was written by John Vitti, who's a guy that wrote, like, I think the second biggest or third biggest number of Simpsons episodes. He's a Simpsons writer. And so, yeah, in 2007, they made Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Everybody thought it was going to be terrible. Critics hated it. It was one of the worst reviewed movies of the year, but it made hundreds of millions of dollars for some reason. So, of course, there's a sequel. And like the original, it's not very good. And like the sequel, it's probably going to make a bunch of money because kids like to go see this stuff, even if they don't actually enjoy it. We saw a screening with a bunch of kids in it, and the volume level of the kids, which is a way to gauge how how interested they are in the movie.
It's very scientific. There's an applause-o-meter.
I don't think that the kids like this movie very much because, to me, it wasn't funny. There wasn't enough singing in it. The plot was lame. It was a rip-off of High School Musical. It had a bunch of really dated references to, like, Taxi Driver, which at this point, none of the kids are going to get, and half of the parents aren't going to get at this point either, I don't think. It had references to The Silence of the Lambs. It had all these weird kind of extremely outdated cultural references that are like 15 years past being funny. On top of the fact that the Chipmunks as a concept are spectacularly annoying. Although, if you have to look for any kind of hidden benefit to this thing, it's the fact that the Chipmunks, the rights to the Chipmunks property are still owned by the guy that created the Chipmunks in the 60s. The movie's co-produced by the Bagdasarian Company. Well, I don't know if it's still in the hands of the Bagdasarian children or Mr. Bagdasarian, but at least they're people. There's a line you can draw between the incredibly annoying 2009 incarnation of the Chipmunks and the incredibly annoying mid-60s incarnation of the Chipmunks. All it is they sing a song in a high-pitched voice. That's all. That's it.
The same song, like 7 times, too. That Beyonce song. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, implying like don't date a woman chipmunk, and think that she's going to hang around with you forever because if you want, you should marry the chipmunk.
It's not like the kids in the theater we were at watching the movie. It's not like they really responded to that song in any way. It's not like any of the girls in the audience were like, oh, I love that song or anything. Like, it really, the audience we saw it with, a lot of kids, didn't really react to anything that was going on screen except for when David Cross gets hit in the crotch with a remote control motorcycle.
Which I love. I love that part. There's 2 guys in this movie who are kind of, at one point, were, maybe still are, kind of counterculture icons to a greater or lesser extent. That's Jason Lee and David Cross. And it's like, Jason Lee, okay, you can understand. The guy, everybody needs money.
He's got a hit show on TV, but
who cares? But he didn't make his career getting up on stage and making fun of other artists for making bland commercial music or comedy the way that David Cross did. I'm not going to begrudge a guy making money. It's just, I feel bad for him.
Just the look on his face when that remote control motorbike nails him in the crotch. Like, I can just see him watching the dailies the next day and just, like, crying to himself.
And then blotting his tears with money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I give it a score. I give it a 3 out of 10.
Generous. I give it a 2.
2.5.
2.5 out of 10. Take your kids to see something else.
All it is they sing a song in a high-pitched voice. That's all. That's it. The same song, like 7 times, too.